Three. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Thanks there, Sam. Yeah, that's my daughter's creation. I'll rub it out in a minute. Um, okay, so Angus says he's not hearing anything. Oh, he is now. Okay, is it flipped? Let me see. What does it look like on? Yeah, I need to flip this. It's laggy, says Aaron. I think that's on your end. Mine, my. Oh no, hold on. What do we got here? It's saying YouTube. What are we saying here? YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Viewers may experience buffering. Okay. So hi everybody. Hopefully you can see me. Um, let's see. Okay, how are we going? So Aaron still says it's loggy. Deirdre says you can see me. Sam is complimenting my daughter's art. Um, yeah, you can see Leona's art isn't quite as good as Nicole's. But she's only 2, so we'll forgive her. Okay, I'm going to put up a question now. I'm going to put up a question now, so I'm going to turn off Teams actually, because you don't want to be hearing me twice, right? So I'll turn off crappy old Teams, and we'll just leave on YouTube. I'll be monitoring your chat, your whatever you're saying on YouTube through the chat function there, so I can read what you're saying on YouTube. I will not be paying any attention to the Teams channel anymore. Okay, so I'm leaving. Goodbye. Yeah, somebody wrote on Teams there just before I left. Somebody wrote on Teams that it was very there was a big delay. That's YouTube. You know, you're going to get at least a 20-second delay. I can still read your messages, and it's not going to crash. That's the big one, isn't it? It's not going to crash in the middle of it. So let me put up. Let me put up an image. I'm going to start recording now. So even if your quality of your stream here is poor, we will, it should be okay. What? Oh, I'm experiencing some problems with YouTube here. It's saying that it's not getting enough video. Hopefully it'll resolve itself. It was fine earlier on. Not receiving enough video. Ah, okay. I think I know I went wrong there. Okay, I'm going to start again. Bear with me, guys. Okay, so you should have audio now when I'm looking at the exam. So I'll just go through that very quickly again since I'll start again. Okay, I'll stop recording. I'll start again. Stop recording and start recording. Okay, so welcome to this week's tutorial. I'm going to start off by going through this exam here. Hopefully you can hear me now. Let me know on the YouTube chat if there's any issues. So short questions, we've covered these two already. Let's move on here now to this one. So peer-to-peer. For a communication session between a pair of processes, which process is the client, which is the server? For a peer-to-peer file sharing application, do you agree with the statement there's no notion of client or server sides? So for a pair of communication sessions, the client is the host that is pulling down the data from the server. So the client is sometimes on, sometimes off, comes and goes. Server is always on, permanent IP address. Client's IP address can change. Client will, when they want a file, they know where to go to the server's IP address is always on, and they can pull the file down. So the client pulls the file down. For a peer-to-peer file sharing application, do you agree with the statement there's no notion of a client and a server side? Well, no, because each peer is both a client and a server, depending on whether they are pulling down parts of the file or whether they are providing or uploading parts of the file to somebody else. Okay, moving on. So we've covered this question the last day. There's just one extra bit at the end here, which is comment on the difference between the cache shown in the figure and a DNS cache. So in this case, we've got a web cache. We know what that is now. It's a web proxy. So every time you make a GET request, it goes to the cache first, who then will make the GET request on your behalf. They'll ask the server for the file, they'll get it back here, and once they've gotten it back, they'll cache it. So they'll store a version of it here for anybody else that might want it in a minute. If somebody else comes along later and wants it, then the cache will send, it'll realize it already has it, it'll send an if modified since GET request, and if it hasn't been changed, they'll get a simple message back saying so, and then the cached version can be provided. A DNS cache is different. A DNS cache does not store web, it stores DNS resource records. In other words, it stores mappings between IP addresses and names of websites that have been visited previously by people on the network, and thereby improving. So both caches, DNS and web cache, try to improve the end user's experience by reducing down the delay that they experience on their browser. They just do it in different ways. So the web cache just can provide the file sometimes without having to go to the origin server, thereby saving on transmission time for the file. The DNS cache saves on the propagation delay, really, that's associated with contacting the various DNS servers, such as your TLD and your root servers as well. So it saves on a lot of propagation delays. So that's the story. Moving on to a different question, I think. Okay, I'm just going to check the. Still no audio. All sorted now. Thanks, Sam. Thank you. Message. So let's go on to a different question. I'll close this one down. So we've covered all the questions we can cover at this point in this particular exam paper. All right, let's try autumn 2018. Let's see what that one looks like. All right. Okay, mail servers. This was new this week, so we'll cover that now. Let's make sure everyone's okay. So I've only got 40 people in the room. I don't know where everybody is. Maybe they don't think it's much use. Okay, anyway. Alice wants to send an email message to Bob. This will involve 4 entities. Alice's mail client, Alice's outgoing mail server, Bob's incoming mail server, and Bob's mail client for email retrieval and viewing. Between which of these 4 entities does the SMT protocol operate? I'll tell you what, have a think about that one, and have a think about part C as well while I